which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The board will vote to go into closed session here for the purposes of discussing our school district safety plan, which I think it's obvious we don't want that information to all be made public. So we will entertain a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and this needs to be a roll call vote. Sally, could you call the roll?
Sure. Dan?
Yes.
And Tony?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Sally, yes. Bob?
Yes.
And Kathy? Yes.
Okay, at this point, then, I think they're going to disconnect the public. Is that what happens here?
We will leave the connection, but it'll be out of the room with the Can you hear me again from the public?
Okay, items 3 and 4 on our agenda for the public's benefit related to the closed session that we're just coming out of. So we'll pick up the agenda at item 5, adoption of the agenda and consent agenda as the order of business. And of course, any board member can identify something they want taken off the consent agenda for discussion or separate action. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda and consent agenda?
Make a motion to adopt the agenda and consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. And then the next item is to consider the approval of the consent agenda. There are 3 things on there: the minutes from the November 17th Board of Education meeting, the financial report for the period of July 1st through November 30th, and then the bills for the period of November 1st through November 30th, an amount of $1,752,564.04. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
That brings us down to number 7, the academic pillar of excellence, and Assistant Superintendent Dina Budrecki.
It's going to get it on. So last Monday, we talked about the different progress and achievements we've had on the different goals from the previous year's state report card. And Dan and I were talking, and we thought it would be important to share some of the achievements in the last year with our non-core areas. And I'm going to share, we talk about the importance of comprehensive and what makes our district comprehensive. So we felt it was just as important to share some of the things that they have really enhanced in the last few months. As difficult things have been, we're trying to really focus on the positives that are coming out of the quarantine and all of the virtual learning that we've been experiencing. So, as I mentioned, comprehensive is what we really feel makes us unique, and we're going to touch on then some of those different things that our non-core areas are working on. Kurt, there's a little video, it's a simulation, not sure if it's gonna work or not, but it's a little simulation of what kids are being able to do at home in their CNC programming classes. So previous to this, students had to work on all the software programming in class, and that limited their use and their time frame that they could work on this. Now we have the software programming to be able to do this at home and for them to do it on their virtual days. It's okay, it's not working. And one of the things that we've learned is that some life skills have really been enhanced during this time frame, because typically when a student is working on these programs in class, the teacher is close by, they get stuck on something, they can easily, flag the teacher down and have them walk them through it. When they're working on at home, they might be able to flag the teacher if they're working virtually, but it really does push that perseverance for them. It pushes the problem solving, that higher level thinking, that if you just have somebody answer the question or walk you through it, it doesn't allow you to develop those skills, and taking that initiative. So if they're at home, they're gonna have to take the initiative to reach out to the teacher if they are still stuck, and really, take that time to reach out to their teacher. And that's a skill that we know in the work world is really important for our employees to have. So those are some of the features that we really have seen enhanced in the tech ed classes. Now we're not turning. Oh, there we go. Another area is our FACE classes. One area I personally have benefited from is one of my daughters is in a cooking class right now. And since she's every other day, she has to cook at home on certain days. So they get to pick out the recipes, they make those recipes, they're practicing their cutting and their prepping skills, which is awesome, so then I don't have to do it, or my husband. And then they get to share their learning and also their creations at home. Typically, by the time they make them in school, very rarely does that product ever get home for the parents to see. So this is a wonderful fruit salad that my daughter made with a honey and lime dressing that we actually got to enjoy. And then typically the kids have to take little videos, which will enhance their speaking skills and send them in to their teachers. Art. It's exciting because we worried that our clubs, that social piece that our clubs and activities offer would be limited, but many of these groups are still getting together virtually, and our club is doing just that. They're working on building their portfolios, which will help them in their future, especially if they are looking towards careers in art. They're also participating, they're applying to participate in the John Michael Kohler Art Center Youth Art Month. So it's exciting that some of these activities that we were fearful because of COVID that we would be limited on our activities, that the students are still really able to engage in and participate. Art classes are looking at more virtual practices as well, looking at virtually critiquing each other's work, which enhances those speaking skills, those higher level synthesizing, when you look at somebody's work and you have to then give a critique and then you have to take that information. So we're looking at some of those practices, but also how to make some of that hands-on art more virtual in that Google Classroom. So they're looking at how can we transfer some of that, make things work. It's not our first preference, but it works, and it's a process that we're learning to do. And then also ways to virtually display their work. Typically, you would only see the work that kids do if they brought it home, or if you happen to walk by that artwork in the school. With the different opportunities that they're exploring to show those virtually, it really opens that canvas up to the world. So that's, I think, some exciting outcomes of what we've been, in a sense, forced to do and explore, which are positive. PE, especially at the younger grades, they're really offering more imaginative and creative play. Because many of the games they play require kids to be close, so they're letting the kids just sort of explore and have some free time, which imaginative and creative play really, it reinforces and fosters so many important skills, higher level thinking skills. It enforces that social emotional. So there's different practices that, again, typically we'd have our lessons, we'd have our very specific, this is what we're going to do. They're still doing that, but just allowing more choice and freedom within those classrooms. Technology, Shayna Wolverd at Fairview was sharing how she follows teachers, PE teachers online. And she's like, there's so many cool things that you can do with technology. Putting a projector up and having moving figures, and then the kids aim and they throw. So working on some of those PE skills, but just in a different format. And then just integrating those healthy practices at home. We have students who, at the high school especially, on AB days, have to do that working out at home. So reinforcing those healthy activities at home and doing them at home might help to reinforce them to do it when they're not doing it for just their PE class. Chorus, lots of things going on in chorus. Another awesome life skill that's being reinforced is active listening, which we know is a really important skill, one that reinforces you to listen to both sides and not to be judgmental. And they're working on doing that through music, really reinforcing some deep conversations about different types of music. And these are things that they typically wouldn't get to because, again, with more singing, which they're not doing as much of, they're still singing, but they're just integrating different practices within, using different instruments while listening and creating their own types of music. Riverview has been doing some really fun, they've created little mini recording studios. So students go into a little recording room, they record their own part of the song, and then they mix that all together to create a full choir. And one of the quotes that Rachel Sibnick shared was that the students are extremely nervous when they record themselves singing, especially at that middle school, that adolescent age where they're so self-conscious. But she said, however, they are glowing with confidence when they walk out, knowing that they accomplished that recording of themselves. So that, I think, is just some really exciting stuff. And then at the high school, they have used different spaces in the building, but also the community. Many of us in the district office can't walk just straight through the front foyer anymore to the high school office. We have to walk around because that area has become a new choir area. Downtown, by the Stayer Park, underneath the parking ramp, they found to be a great area for them to sing. And you'll see in some of their recordings that that's what they've been doing. They've been working on creating original songs with digital software. They're working with alumni. They're creating videos. There's a little corner picture. It's not a video, it's just a picture of the video that they did, where they did all lip syncing and then recording of their own voices, putting it into compilation to create that final project. And they're recording all of their concerts virtually. So it's exciting that, again, it's different, but we're still accomplishing the same outcomes. And then finally, band. Band is using a lot of technology. They have a software program that allows their students to record, either play just their part or with a full accompaniment. And then that program actually gives them feedback on their playing. It tells them if they missed a note, it tells them if their rhythm was wrong, and it spots that and it gives them that feedback. But the teacher can also go in and then provide them comments and feedback as well. So there's just different ways, and I think it's great because obviously when you're playing an instrument, there's a lot of breath going out, and that allows them to still have that practice, still get that feedback, but do it in a safe manner. And then their concerts as well. They were still able to have their concerts with limited audience. And just to add some extra pizzazz to it, some kids actually did a light show. So we're finding different ways to engage and enhance. And I think the outcomes have been really great. Things that we may not have stumbled on quite yet if it hadn't been for where we're at in our world right now. So I think it's really exciting to see the things that are going on, and I think that that comprehensive, piece of what we are is really being enhanced every day. Do you have any questions? I went through a lot.
Yeah, a lot of really cool, innovative things going on.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, cooking at home, that could be, I think I remember doing that when I was in high school as a homework thing.
Sure.
But not probably as much as I could have. Some parents would appreciate it.
Seems like that's a lot of stuff that wouldn't have happened if we didn't get into this stuff that we're dealing with.
Definitely.
Any other comments or questions? Item number 8 is a education COVID update. Dan and Dina?
Yeah, I've kind of made this a standing, we've made this a standing item just in case we need to modify or do anything different to our educational program or plan. We're not looking to do any modifications or anything currently. Right now, just as a status report related to our COVID, the impacts of COVID at the school district, we've dropped to about half of our higher levels of students and staff out from COVID or quarantining. That was about 4 weeks ago. We had a couple of weeks where we had 200 plus people that were on quarantine, individuals in the district. And these last almost now 3 weeks, we have dropped to about half of that number, and it has remained steady. And so hopefully that continues. We're hanging around less than 100 students and staff on quarantine, and sitting in the single digits or low teens for positive cases on a weekly basis for these last 3 weeks. So it seemed, well, I'm not going to say anything about this week, but those numbers are maintaining, and so it has allowed us to, in certain schools in elementary where teachers were broadcasting out with a couple kids that were on quarantine. A lot of those schools have brought, those kids are back in the fold. Not the students that are in our virtual schoolhouse, but the students who should be in the regular school day, and the teachers broadcasting and they're meeting with the kids every day. A lot of those kids have come back into the fold, and so that reduces the stress levels on everybody, including the children and families. And so positive aspects on the numbers currently. And so we have begun the process of looking at continuing positive changes that have occurred because of COVID. So as Dina just presented and you heard, there are many aspects to this time that we have been forced to do, but that are potentially beneficial for the long term. And we're with the group of the DLT and with staff members around the district, when we're meeting with them, we are asking for those examples, and we're vetting those examples and looking already forward towards next year in terms of things like our schedules in different buildings, in terms of things like the methodologies that we use, and just a bunch of really good examples there that Dina presented. But there are many examples throughout the district where kids can do more learning in different spaces and more of that formative assessment type of feedback, the coaching and learning types of things back with their teacher. So those types of methodologies that everybody has now had a lot of experience with, we are very interested in continuing in proper and appropriate ways. And then materials, we've purchased obviously many materials and parts of curriculum that we now own, and many of which have a lot of value. And just because the kids potentially won't be at home next year doesn't mean that we can't use those materials and resources. So the different schedules and programs in the buildings, the methods that we're using, and the materials and resources that we're using, we are currently identifying all of those, and we want to put our learning to good use for the kids in the future. So as of now, no changes, but we're looking forward to changes hopefully for some point in the future.
Very good.
Okay.
Seems to me, from what I hear through other school districts, that our experience in keeping the kids safe and continuing through their education program is, maybe we're doing a better job than other districts that seem to have to, put portions of their school and maybe I'm not accurate in that, but it's what I'm hearing. Maybe it's, maybe we're doing a little better job, so thank you for that. Comments or questions? Number 9, approval of the 21-22 school calendar. Amy Williams? Dina
Yep.
Goodrecki.
Yep, so the calendar is very, very similar to this year's calendar. There's really not any changes. Same amount of days for teachers, same amount of days for students, which for the teachers, and, well, the teachers matches their contract days, and students and teachers, it matches the DPI, regulations and all of that. So everything is the same. It's still starting on September 1st, and that first Friday off for the fair and things like that, and everything else is the same.
We looked at this last week in the committee of the whole, and one of the questions that came up relative to the snow day, and maybe the public would be interested in hearing the answer to that.
Well, do you want me to answer? Or do you
Sure,
want-
go ahead.
I mean, we kept the snow day in there, like we always have, on May 27th. If there is no snow day, then there's no school that day. But we might entertain a different format on snow days. It's going to depend on if it's, a foreseen weather event, or if it's not. That's pretty much what we plan to do.
Exactly.
If we know that something's happening and we can prepare for a virtual day, then we would do that, but they might have an old-fashioned snow day also.
Very good. We need to approve that. Do we have any comments or questions?
What's the thoughts on summer school for 2021?
I don't know if we're still looking at that. Our intent would be to have it, and we're just hopeful that we can. And to the extent and size and similar nature to what it was before, we want to have a good, well-rounded, as big as possible summer school. It just kind of will depend on where we are.
Hopefully with the vaccines coming in. Do we have
Particle
a-
board accounts.
Mine is,
When do you think we need to make that decision by, or when will you have that decision made by? Any timetable?
Well, I think registration for summer school and getting all that planning started begins in February, really. And we will start planning, regardless of what we know. We're going to start planning like we're going to have it. And so then, and it's similar to what we've had in the past, and if things happen where we're not able to, we don't have to register families and everything until very close to the end of the school year. So we'll try to make sure, we'll work on it like we're going to have it, and then if something happens and we're just not able to because of where we are with COVID, then we'll have to either not or modify it back into
If
a
we
smaller
had to modify certain classes or reduce classes because of the nature of the course might be more socially engaged with students, then we could look at, changing those classes, but we would definitely offer as much as we could. I mean, that's our goal. We've had a long history of a really high-quality summer school program that's offered a wide variety of offerings, and we want to continue that.
Do we have a motion to adopt the school year calendar?
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say yes.
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 Opposed, no. Finance, Buildings and Grounds, Facilities Subcommittee update. Bob?
The Facilities Committee, we did meet, discussed where we are. Basically, the project is completed. There are just a few little things on the punch cards, but for the most part, the funds that were spent on the referendum have been used for their intended purposes, and the project is complete. There will be some funds left over. Those funds, the administration will come forward with their recommendation on how those residual funds could be used. They have to be used within the criteria of the referendum. The referendum did outline more than what we accomplished in the building part. There were wish list items, as we refer to them, and those will be the items that we can look at, what the administration can look at, and come back with a recommendation and say, because they were covered by the referendum and we have the funds, we would recommend we do the following. So we'll get that, and once everything wraps up, and we'll get some recommendations here probably in the next few months. Beyond that, we just have some long-range planning that we're doing. There was discussion about just really kind of a philosophical, what do we want to do going forward with our facilities? Obviously, the more we can maintain our facilities, the less the need for big building campaigns. So the administration will continue to come forward with very strong recommendations about what we need to fix on an ongoing basis so we can stay on top of these facilities and keep them Class A. In addition to that, just from a philosophical standpoint, we talked about the future and the need for sustainability and keeping our facilities and improving our facilities to be designed for the future. So to look at, the most efficient lighting, solar energy or other forms of renewables, and how we can build a plan around that and plan for those things in our future. So it's what we discussed.
Very good.
Any questions?
But normally, we have a family resource and a community and a rec.
It's just done on 13.
What's that? Oh, okay.
You're just not there yet.
Yeah, all
You're
right.
not there yet.
You're ahead of the game.
Yeah, thank you. The approval of the second reading of the Neola policy.
We have B are there yet, the gifts and corresponding adjustments yet, under buildings, finance, and grounds.
Take that. We have a couple of gifts, so.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, we have to consider the approval of gifts and corresponding budget adjustments. So the district had an anonymous donation of $25 in chamber cash for every school district employee. That was one of them. And then the other was a donation from James Schrader, 2 left-handed guitars, which I now understand are very difficult to find and pretty expensive as well, for use in the school district music department.
Very good. Well, do we have a motion and a second?
What's chamber
What's
cash?
chamber cash? I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with that.
The Chamber of Commerce, you can go there and purchase like $50 of chamber cash, and then local businesses accept that as money. And so it's like a gift card, but it stays in the city, which is kind of nice.
Okay. Thank you.
Good question.
Do we have a motion and a second to approve the gifts with the corresponding budget adjustments?
So move.
Second.
All in favor, say yes.
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 We appreciate the generous people who have made that happen. And we have the second reading of our Neola policy updates. We looked at them the first time in November, and we're required to deal with these in 2 consecutive board meetings. So this will be the point at which they will become official if we should so choose to approve them. And I think we need to first have a motion to waive the actual reading of them. And so we would entertain that motion.
So move.
Second.
All in favor to waive the reading, say yes.
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 Say no. And now then, the approval of the updates themselves. We have a motion and a second.
The updates.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
And these will now be posted. Katrina does an excellent job keeping on top of this and working the system to get them there. They'll be posted on our website. So that leaves us to
12.
number 12. I lost my...
Public participation.
Oh, here we are. I'm sorry, boy, I'm just confused here. We don't have anybody from the public that is signed in here. And is there a mechanism for people to join us from the public virtually? Not that I know of.
There is not.
There is not, okay. So we'll go on to the board liaison reports. Here's where community ed and rec comes in.
Community ed, they have had the Aquatic and Fitness Center open for people. It will be open again for the winter season. There's information on the website that you can go to look when they're going to be starting to take registration. There also will be a discount for early ones that register early, and there is a senior discount for people if you are privileged to be old enough. Also, we do have the track and the hall walking in the new addition. They do have the body pump exercises, and there will be a Saturday Fun Fitness on January 16th. Also, if you don't want to come to the building, there is a virtual workout that you can sign up for. That's it for community ed.
Thank you, Sally. Bob, what's the foundation doing?
The foundation right now is in the process of reviewing grants as we try to do all year long now with the mini grants as well as the large grants. In addition to that, we did receive a nice check for our Panther Pride pump. And if you need gas, which I think most of us drive cars, please seek out the Panther Pride pump and put gas in your tank. It was a very nice check, and we really appreciate that program and the extra funds that'll go toward the mini grants. So in addition to that, end of the year is coming. You need to make a contribution. Please seek out our website and go on there and contribute to the foundation. Trust me, we will put your dollars to good use.
The location of the pump is?
It's by Antoinette, so, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know the name.
Western and Maine?
Yeah, but I don't know the name of the
Is it
ownership.
the West Side Pantry?
Is it West Side Pantry? Yeah.
Our store.
Who?
Our store.
Our store is what it's called?
Yeah.
Okay. I should know their name, and I don't. Sorry about that. I know where the pump is, though.
It's at the stop sign, Mill Street, and
Right.
By the big.
West,
By the big guy.
Yeah.
By Antoinette.
The closest gas pump to
and there's
Yeah.
only the one pump
And it's
that
the
has.
one pump.
Yeah, it's
and
not all the
marked.
pumps,
You
it's
wanna
just
be
the
sure to
one.
fill up at that one,
Yeah.
and it's a good cause.
Dan, tell us about the Family Resource Center.
Yeah. So the Family Resource Center brings two programs, Parents as Teachers and Literacy Council. And I kind of gave you a year-end in review. They served, underneath the Parents as Teachers program, they served 115 families in 2020, 710 home visits. Over 200 families participate in group connections and parenting classes this year. About 107 children were screened through collaborative community events. And we're still doing virtual over the phone. We're offering group connections through that program. The literacy program, Literacy Council, has 90 tutors participating in 2020. Over 100 students were matched with tutors and were also served at LTC through open computer labs. And so again, we're still doing virtual through phone, our Google Classroom, and are continuing that program through 2021.
Very good. Thank you. Personnel?
Yes, we have some support staff news to share. So Suzanne Rhea, from Special Education Aide at Fairview Elementary School, has submitted a resignation. Suzanne has been with the school district for 4 months. Jesse Jeske, custodian at Plymouth High School, has submitted his resignation. Jesse has been with the school district for 4 months. Amy Judge has been hired by the as a special education aide at Riverview Middle School. And Sharon Schmidt has been hired as a special education aide at Fairview Elementary School.
Very good. Those are support staff, so we don't take any action on those. That brings us down to the president's report, and 3 quick things on the president's report. I think the community is interested in knowing that this administration and this school board is committed to the safety of students. We spent time in our closed session looking at what's described as our safety plan, and we cannot talk about that in particulars, but I would just tell you that it is comprehensive and robust, that every area has been looked at from all aspects of the students' experience in the school district, their physical, their emotional and mental well-being, and you can just be confident that this school district is doing all it can to keep kids safe in every regard. The second thing is the area of finances. As a school board, we're committed to becoming our best and improving, so that and the next goal that we as a school board are going to be working on is our financial reporting, our understanding of that area of our school district. And so over the next few months, we'll be establishing and working on a goal to become more effective as a school board in understanding and being able to articulate the financial position of our school system. That's the second thing. And the third thing is more towards the school board members. As you interact and have involvements in the school system, you observe things that not the rest of us don't see, and a time like this is a good opportunity to be able to share some of those wins and things like that. We hear great reports from our school administration, but if you run across something and say, I think this is worthy of taking note of, please let me know, or just even raise your hand at this point and say, hey, because I think it's good for us to share the victories and the wins and the positive things that we happen to observe and see throughout the school district. So those are the things I wanted to share with you. Thank you. Now the superintendent's report.
Yeah, well, I'll share some wins and victories. As I mentioned just in the gift a couple seconds ago, it's a season of gratitude and giving, and I just am so appreciative of the community and the fact that they recognize that they're difficult times for everybody. They're difficult times for teachers and students, and so those little acts of kindness, well, it's more than a little act of kindness, to get people chamber bucks, which are, it's a great thing because it comes from the city, people receive it, they feel great about being recognized by their community, and they feel valued, and then they go out and they spend it in town, and so it stays here. So I think those acts of giving and gratitude are wonderful. There are gift baskets that are being collected from donations from the community that are being won by educators, that are just being donated as well. And so they're things that make the teachers and the professionals here and the support staff all feel like they are valued and people are recognizing them. And so that's wonderful. But I wanted to recognize the community for being the support system that actually does that. And so thank you very much to the community. And I also wanted to remind the community that just as in terms of giving, that every single year, at more than one point in the year, teachers collect donations, and they collect donations all year, and they have school funds specifically to give to students and families in need, especially around holiday seasons or Christmas, Thanksgiving, but even through other points of a school year where there is a child or a family in need of something. they routinely collect in every school money on a regular basis from staff, and it is given out every year to families. And so we appreciate the support from the community. We appreciate and want to give back to the community. And so I think it's, as we mentioned earlier, it's an ecosystem of gratitude and giving that makes us all stronger. So I just wanted to mention that. And then I also wanted to just touch on a couple student accomplishments. And if you haven't seen the web page where we have our 5 students that were represented from the Plymouth School District in the unique 2020 State Honors Music Project, check it out because it's really good. It's recordings. You can hear them playing. I was alerted to this before I saw it because my mother, who lives well north of Green Bay, sent me a text and said, I turned it on in the morning and I was listening to the kids playing this great music, and I just kind of had it on while I was working around in the kitchen this morning. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's great. Cameron Schreiber, Max Holly, Cole Anhalt, Devin Serschel, and Michael Steffen all did a great job on that one. If you can hear on the video, or you can hear in this room, winter sports have begun. Basketball is being played right over there, but all of our winter sports are underway using all of our protocols and social distancing. We're trying to have a safe and valuable experience for kids. And the PHS Winter Choir Concert is on YouTube. Check it out. The students wanted to sing together, and Dina had mentioned this as well. But you can see this on our YouTube channel. There's a link on our webpage. They had a creative way to do that, and they ended up performing in 2 smaller groups in front of the foyer in the building here and the parking garage downtown, and you can see it all live, well, recorded on our channel. The math team has participated in a competition last week. Students had a great time, and we're happy to be finally able to compete for the first time during this pandemic year. And the results will be released in the coming weeks. And if you remember last year, we beat Sheboygan North for the first time. So that was like our Loudon Swain moment, if anybody remembers Vision Quest. So. And we are also planning to have a freshman orientation. They'll be taking place in person on January 25th. I wanted to mention that because it's an upcoming event, but yet there's just a lot of planning. And so it's kind of a staff accomplishment to figure out how we can do a freshman orientation and not have it virtual, so that we can have kids see a place for the first time. And now, with all the restrictions that we've been under for quite a while, there's the possibility, we've had some kids move in from some other districts too, there's a possibility that kids don't know where things are and haven't been in a facility, so we're trying to make that happen in person. Some upcoming events, we have winter break is December 23rd through January 4th, and I also want to just remind you to, if you want to see something that's happening, almost all of our events are being broadcast now. And they'll either be on a live stream or a YouTube channel, but on our calendar will be a link, or if you follow us on Twitter, there will be a link every single day that there's an event here, and you can watch basketball games, swim meets, wrestling matches, our choir stuff, and our band. We're broadcasting when we can. Sometimes there's copyright restrictions, but we're broadcasting all of that. So for entertainment value, it's really pretty great. So that's my report.
Very good. Thank you.
Is that something we'd continue to do on in the future?
That's another one. Absolutely.
It'd be nice for grandparents, especially now if it's colder.
Yep. That will continue, undoubtedly.
One of the values of our school system is innovation, and I think we've seen that featured very significantly. Well, do we have a motion to adjourn? So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.